Okay, this lesson we're going to learn how to create a mandala using Photoshop, but using lots of layers and creating a mandala that's made up of possibly other mandalas, resizing them, making them small, making them large, and just repeating the mandala over and over in a larger mandala. Um, I've selected a number of images that I've worked on. The baby one you'll probably remember from the last lesson, and then there's a few others that I've sort of put together, which are kind of just patterns. I'm sort of going for the whole baby theme. I've downloaded a bunch of images that I think will work in a baby theme mandala. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start with the feet, and I'm just going to start to combine some things together, creating a mandala with a whole bunch of layers in Photoshop. Now, what we can do, if you have kept your mandala, your original mandala, and it's still in the layers, so it still has the top layer and the bottom layer, what we can do is just work with that top layer. So we can drag that top layer across and put it onto the other layer. So what happens then is you have two mandalas on top of each other, and you can combine the two together, or you can actually rotate them around and move them. And I'll show you what I mean by that. So we can actually do a edit free transform, and we can tilt that. We can tilt that until it's between the other layers underneath. And I'm hitting the enter key to confirm that. So what we can do now is we can actually put that top layer to the back. And the way that you rearrange layers in Photoshop is that you grab the top layer and you just drag it down so it's underneath the bottom layer. So there what we've done is we've put the smiley faces underneath the feet, just so it sort of looks a bit better and creates a better pattern. Okay, so we've put that layer below the feet. Now what you can do this time is you can either leave those layers separate, or we can combine them together. I'm going to combine them together. So if we go up to layer and then merge visible, we're actually creating one layer of those two layers together. What we can do now is I can do a couple of things. I can actually reproduce that layer and start to put that around the outside of the mandala or on the inside if I want. So I can grab that layer, make a copy, I can then transform it, and I can shrink it down. So I'm just going to make it a lot smaller. So I've got a smaller layer now, and I can move that around to where I want it. I can put it on top, I can move it to the side, I can do whatever I want with it. So I'm going to move it around to the side just here. And what I might do now is just reproduce that, just copy that layer again. Now we have two layers. We have one on top, and I'm going to put one on the opposite side. So just to balance that layer. I'll just do another layer now, and we can grab that, and we can put that on this side. And I'll grab one more, and we'll put that on the other side. So you can see there I've got a couple of layers now of that, and that forms a shape there, which we can use that shape as a small shape, or we can keep it as a larger shape like it is. I'm going to flatten that out again, so I'm going to just merge the visible, so layer, merge visible, and I'm going to then use this layer somewhere else. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to take the baby mandala and transfer that across the new mandala that we've created with the patterns. I'm going to put the baby in the middle of the mandala, and with the baby mandala it's been flattened so that it has no layers anymore. It just has a white background on with the image on it. So I'm going to select just the babies, and I'm going to drag that across, and I'll show you how to do that. The way that we do that is that we select the color. So I select the color range of white. So I select it so that you're selecting the white section, and here it shows you a cutout of what it looks like with the selection, the white selection. If I bring this backwards or forwards, it shows you the difference and how much more you can select. So I'm going to keep it so the baby's faces are black. So you can see I've now selected the white section. I'm going to inverse that. So I'm going to go select and inverse it, so it's actually selecting the babies instead of the white background. I can now transfer that across or move that across just by using the move tool. Drag that across so it sits on top of the other one, and there you have the babies just by themselves sitting on top of the other pattern. I want to now resize that so that I can put that inside the other ones. If I free transform that, if I hold the shift key so I don't lose the dimensions and lose the size of the image that I'm using, then I can put those babies inside that other image. You can see it's starting to take effect. I like the baby's head with the feet coming out. That's quite good. So I can still keep that there, and I might decide to use that as a smaller image a bit later on. Actually, I will use that now. I'll transfer that across again, and I'm going to make that really small and put that right in the middle of that other pattern that we created just before. That might look quite interesting, I think. So if I move that, and that should snap into the middle of there, and I'm going to copy that layer, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag that and put that into the middle of the other layers as well. So I'm just copying the layers and just pasting them around to create a pattern, and there we have the pattern starting to take effect. So I'm going to flatten that out now, so that's starting to look quite good. So if I flatten that down, I've got another layer. I can now put that layer onto one of these other layers that I've created a pattern with. So this is the mother's hands and the baby's feet. So if I drag this layer across now, it'll go over the top of this, and I might actually put that on the sides, I think. So I'll bring that down, and what I might do is start to put those around the sides, and we might actually have those behind the other mandala. So if I move that to there, we can move that around and maybe have that just like that. And then what I'll do is I'll copy that layer and then move that across to the other side, and we'll copy this layer and we'll move that to the bottom. So that's created a pattern now, and you can sort of start to see just the mum's hands in the background. So we can flatten that down, and then that shape I can move to one of my other layers, which I might decide to use the feet again, or the hands. I'll use the feet one more time, and we'll have a look and see how that looks. So we'll drag that across. We might put that a little bit smaller, and we'll put that underneath the feet. And the feet can be there. What I'll do is I'll put that layer underneath the feet layer, and then it's the feet coming through, and then I will copy that layer. I'll create another layer so it goes down here, and I'll do the same again and put that onto the left and then onto the right. So you can see there's lots and lots of patterns starting to happen, and it would start to become quite addictive, I think. These are actually quite beautiful patterns that are starting to happen in there now. Now right in the middle, I'm going to put the baby's face back in there. I was pretty happy with that, so we'll put that back in and we'll finish. So I'm just going to select the baby's face again. So I'm going to select a color range, which is the white, and then I'm going to inverse the selection. So select an inverse, just drag the baby's face across, and make that baby's face mandala a lot smaller so it sits within the other mandalas. Just like that. And I like the feet coming out of the baby's head again. Might actually try and put the feet or the baby underneath, on top of the feet, which is just there, which I think I prefer. So there you have it. We've got a mandala that looks okay, looks quite interesting. We can then flatten that mandala to give it a white background if you're happy with that. So we flatten the image, discard all the layers that we can't see, and there's a mandala that's sort of starting to be created from lots and lots of different patterns, and looks quite impressive, I think. So enjoy making your mandalas with layers.